Hey everybody, thanks for hopping on another phone call with freedom. I am your host, Sarah Jane. Thanks for showing up in my corner of the world where we talk the universe. There's so many crazy things going on today. There's so many people beginning to step into genres of work that they really enjoy, that are beginning to feel in alignment with your soul. Right? I think a lot of people are beginning to question things. What is it that I want? Who am I truly? That's a big one because a lot of us, we don't even know who we are, right? We're kind of going through this deconditioning of the mind and reconditioning of the mind. This process of kind of undoing everything that we've been told we are and figuring out who we actually are on a soul level and creating a life based on that information, which is it's a pretty wild process. I have been undergoing this process for probably, I would say about 6 or 7 years, where I've really taken a hyperfixation on modern day science, which actually isn't really that modern because this information's been around for a long time, but it's just now beginning to surface and become readily available. So I categorize it as modern day science because it's just finally becoming accessible to all of us. The basics of what we need to know about this world and about ourselves and how it all works. For 20 some odd years of my life, I did things and made decisions that stemmed from what I truly believed about this world and about how it worked and what I believed about myself and how I thought I worked. So it was from that perspective that I was creating life, and I was struggling. And we've all been there. We've all been in that spot. And that's what makes this time so unique, is that we're all transitioning at the same time. When you hit that rock bottom, there's something beautiful that happens there if you allow it. You find a piece to the puzzle. You gain awareness. You gain clarity at that rock bottom that you are going to need in order to move forward. Once you start moving forward, you realize that. And that information allows you to go back to those spaces and forgive yourself, forgive other people. It's a pretty wild ride that we're on. Earth is a wild school. It's definitely one of the most densest in vibration for sure. I think that if you're here at this time, you are one of the best of the best. We are truly in a state of evolution where that core belief is changing. We are reclaiming our identity among the universe. And if you're here for that, then it is because you are one of the best of the best. It doesn't matter. You could literally be homeless. Your external reality doesn't matter. Most of us end up in these positions where we're struggling, but the truth is we're there because we're in survival mode. That's how we've been conditioned to be hard on ourselves, to think we're not worthy, to think we're not capable. All these beliefs we absorbed during childhood from our parents, which was a result of them absorbing it from their parents. So you can see the evolution. That also allows you to go back and forgive your parents. Once you understand the conditioning of the mind, there's modern day science. So your spiritual beliefs and science really work together. You're not going to make it to the end result without having a little bit of both. You have to have science in your pocket because you have to understand how the mind works. Just the basics. You don't have to be a crazy spiritual guru. You just have to understand the basics. You have to know about the conscious and the subconscious mind and exactly how they work and the role that they play on your internal and external reality. That's something you have to know. You have to know that you have an energy field. It extends out around you, all around you, completely encloses you. That is something you have to know about. Vibration, you have to understand the basics of vibration. That's really what you need to know. If you understand the conscious and the subconscious mind, the conditioning of the mind, how it works, if you understand your energy field and how that works, and you understand vibration, what it is and the role that it plays in your life, then you're going to be good. You're going to know how to navigate this world. That's all the science. The spiritual side is what you believe. The beautiful part about this is we're on a ball floating in space. You can believe whatever it is you want. Let's just sit back on that for a second, because this is the first time in history where you can really embody openly whatever belief it is that you want to believe. You want to believe in nothing? There's no rhyme or reason. We're just here. All right. You want to believe in God? You want to believe in Creator? You want to believe in universe? You want to believe in energy? Whatever it is. Maybe all of that's combined. This is the first time in human history that we have allowed ourselves to be in the space of being bold enough to say, this is who I am, and this is how I'm going to do things. And that space needs to be held for me. It's just scrumptious, right? Yummy. Seriously. That's such a fun time to be alive. Thank you guys so much for being here with me. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Keeps me moving in the right direction. So things are changing. If you are here, you are the best of the best. We are all beginning to evaluate certain things and how it works and what we want to believe. And I wanted to create this podcast to share with all of you the journey that I've been on, my awareness journey. Some people call it an awakening journey. It's just becoming aware of things. Really, at the core of it, it's becoming aware of things that you weren't aware of before. That's what it is. So sometimes I call it an awareness journey, an awareness awakening. Oh, what about that? Put these together. Just awakening to shit that was like always there, but you didn't know it. Just information about how everything works. So I created this podcast because I wanted to create a safe space for all of us to come together, to be able to talk and evaluate some of the things that are going on in the world, just from a space of non-judgment and just from a space of observation. Okay, this is what needs my attention right now. This is what I have to look at in my life. And I want to talk about that change. I want to talk about these bold moves that we're making and these beliefs that we're entertaining. And I think that maybe coming together could help all of us. I'm 6 years, almost 7 years in on my journey. And it would have been really nice in those beginning stages to have had a safe space. Now, I think a part of my journey was to learn how to create a safe space in an unsafe space. And I think that's a place that a lot of us have been. And we've had to learn how to do that. But this is where we learn techniques. This is what helps us redefine what wealth is. It's in these spaces. So you can't not let yourself go there, because that's where you gain the most clarity in life. The objective is to create and construct a belief structure within your subconscious mind, beliefs about yourself and about this world that serve your survival. So when you're doing this deeper work, you understand why you're doing it. When I am working with a client or a friend, anybody that I'm working with, what I'll do is I'll take them back to certain scenarios and we'll dive into the energies behind it. How did that make you feel? Well, I felt disrespected. Okay, so that's where we're focusing, is the feeling, the energy. I tell them in the beginning, when we go back and you're talking about this, you have to set your intention. What is intention? Intention is taking a moment before you begin to envision your desired outcome. I don't know why that just took me a second. Your intention is to take a moment to go back. You take a moment before you begin to envision your desired outcome. So before we begin any session, the first thing I have my client do is understand how to set their intention. I'm not healing you You're healing you. I'm teaching you how to heal you. Healing happens on an ongoing basis. You have to know how to navigate the moments. The moments that you're in. And these are going to happen when you're with me, when you're not with me. So my objective is to give you the wisdom, the awareness, the clarity, so that when you move forward, you know how to navigate these situations. You have a belief that supports your survival. So when people are working with me, that's what we focus on. I'm giving you tools, techniques. I'm creating a safe space for you to observe what it is you believe. Pick that apart, play with that, feel safe in doing that, and then reconstructing a belief that serves you. One of my biggest beliefs now is a higher self. I mean, that's a huge one, right? I went from an old belief, which was we're alone in the universe. Nobody has any answers. There's no rhyme or reason. I'm just a victim to whatever this is. That was for 20 some odd years of my life. That was my belief. My current belief is that we are multidimensional. The universe is vast, and there's versions of me throughout the universe. There's also a higher realm where my highest self sits. My highest self understands what all my fragments are doing. I'm a fragment. I can only remember so much. My job right down here on earth is to learn how to love myself, learn how to reconnect, have the experience, smell the flowers, feel the earth, take a deep breath, learn how to love with conditions. It's crazy. In the other realms, everything's so unconditional. Everything's so beautiful. It's telepathy up there. I don't want to say up there, over there. Everybody just gets everybody. It's such an ebb and flow. But when you come down here, it's a completely different experience. But because we can't remember what home is like, we associate this with home. And we know naturally there's a disconnect with that. Every single one of us knows I'm missing a piece to the puzzle. Maybe that's where some of the anger comes from. This idea that we're separated from source. Can you trust that there's a higher purpose in that? Can you trust that there's a reason that you're here having this experience? In order to trust that, I had to articulate a new belief. So now I entertain the idea of a higher self, being multidimensional, and I'm always calling on my higher self. When I quiet my mind, close my eyes, shut everything down, and I just call in my higher self, like, come on in. I'm trying to hear you for a second. Talk to me. I need to have a one-on-one conversation where I feel safe and I feel good, and I need to talk about what's going on. Most of us are uncomfortable creating that space for ourselves because the conditioning of the mind. Not because we're flawed or broken, but because we're conditioned. It's pretty wild. This is where science comes in with spirituality. In order to continue moving forward, it's like left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. Left foot is science, right foot is spirituality. They kind of come hand in hand. So you start deconstructing your mind, you realize you're on a ball floating in space. You can believe anything you want. So this idea that we're multidimensional and there are versions of me throughout the world, and that there's one particular realm that I consider the home realm. There's a highest version of myself in that realm. That's the version of myself that I'm calling on when I quiet my mind, when I relax, when I channel, whatever you want to call that. When I communicate with myself, that's the version of myself I'm communicating with. It's not just going nowhere. It's going somewhere. My thoughts, my feelings, they're going somewhere. They are a signal to another you. Now, I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. I'm saying that we are on a ball floating in space. Your mind is going to create a construct. That construct has to support your survival. Again, I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. I'm saying my construct supports my survival. I've lost loved ones. When I'm in that space and I'm alone and I'm scared and I'm angry and I got to move through some energies, you're damn right I need the belief that I have a higher self. The alternative belief was that I was alone. It was just not going to work. Not anymore. I had done that for years. I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to feel alone. I don't want to feel like there's no rhyme or reason. I don't want to feel like they're just gone and nobody knows what happened to them. I'm not that naive anymore. I have answers. You have answers. You just have to believe it. So this is really what we're going to be talking about on this podcast. I am going to dive pretty deep because that's my job. That's my mission. That's what I'm here to do. I've taken an old belief out of my subconscious mind, and I continue to do so by deconstructing it, rewiring it. I have a clear understanding now of what's going on. And now I'm also rebuilding and have rebuilt, but continue rebuilding new beliefs for myself. And it's my job to share this with other people because as a result, my external reality has changed. I'm happy and my reality shows that. And you feel that when you're with me, when you're in my energy field. So that's my job is now that I've come into this awareness, is to come forward and say, hey, I think I figured something out. It might not be for everybody, but I want the basics to be out there because that's your birthright. That's your birthright. So every Monday I do card readings. You can check back in on Mondays. It's me and you and your higher self and my higher self sitting down to have a cup of coffee, talk about where we're going, what's happening next. So make sure you check back on Mondays for that. If you're interested in getting a read, I'll leave all the information below the card readings. And then on Wednesdays, every Wednesday, I'm back here for another phone call with Freedom, where we talk about all this type of work. And if you're interested in working with me in any spiritual capacity, please make sure that you reach out. I do work on a donation based. I will leave the information below if you feel inclined. I appreciate it because it keeps me up and running. But I believe in this work so much that I actually went from charging to donation based because I've been that person that was in that space that couldn't afford that workshop or couldn't afford that information, couldn't afford this or that. And this is what I have to tell you. The information that I'm sharing with you on this podcast is not information I care about making money off of. I care about this world. I care about my people, our people, you, me. I care about us as a collective. The best form of payment that you could ever give somebody is to hear them. All I ask is that you hear when I talk. Observe it, play with it. Take the love with you. Take the love with you into your day, to the people you're around. Understand that you are participating in something that is massive, and it is not just Earth. You are participating in something that is affecting the entire galaxy, and you are participating in that. You have feet on the ground. You're actually here. Once I started getting to this point where I had an understanding, one of the fears I had to face was finances. That's one of the deepest conditionings. Everybody, money, 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 you need money, money, money. You want to know what financial freedom is? Financial freedom is your ability to believe that you can create your next step regardless of money. If you think financial freedom is a dollar amount, you're going to be stuck in a rat race for the rest of your life. One of the biggest lessons I've learned is you could be out on a yacht in the middle of the ocean, living your best life. But if you have a toothache, none of it matters. None of it matters. The only thing that matters is getting rid of that toothache. When I started gaining all this material gain, I got to this point where I was like, yeah, cool, I'm making money, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. My mind was still conditioned to see things from a particular fashion. So the trick is that you think you're going to gain all this material wealth and that's going to provide you with happiness, but it's not true because you're not rewiring the mind. And if you're not rewiring the mind, that means you're enabling the same conditioned beliefs with or without money. Money's obsolete. It doesn't matter. What matters is the conditioning of the mind. Once I got to that point and I realized that I had to begin demonstrating by walking it. So I went from charging for my work to not charging for my work and running purely off donations. And I have to tell you, it's been very beneficial. But was I scared shitless? Yes. Was that a step that I was like, holy shit, I'm getting ready to just drop all my charges for everything, except for card reads. Card reads are the only thing I charge, and I just think that's an even exchange in energy. But my spiritual coaching all of that is now donation based. So I'm sharing this just because that was a fear that I had to face, but I want to share my intention behind that. This work is so valuable. It's not something that somebody needs to pay for. It's your birthright as a human being, as a habitant of this earth. It's your birthright to understand the basics about how you work. You're going to need this for moving forward. I'm not giving it to you because you have to earn it, or because you have to pay for it, or because of any other obscene, ridiculous reasoning. I'm giving it to you because it's your birthright as a human being, as an extension of Creator, to understand how we work. So I appreciate you so much for being here. I'm really excited as this begins to continue unfolding together, to come together, keep creating wild spaces and expansive conversations. This is just the beginning of some really beautiful things that are getting ready to unfold within all of us and in the world. We're finally getting to space where, hey, you know what? There's no more lies, okay? We cannot have any more lies. If you were going to take an entire collective and shake them down, break them of an old belief structure and implement a new one, how would that look? Well, you're looking at it. We're in the middle of a severe upgrade of sorts, right? So hang in there. Know that you are so loved and you are so supported. I love you. I support you so much. Your higher self loves and supports you so much. Entertain that idea if it feels good, if it feels right. Bring that into your reality, because it's just play with it. You know what I'm saying? Just play with it. What do you really truly believe? And not just surface level, like, yeah, I have a higher self. Ask your higher self for a sign. Your higher self is always, look, the universe is always looking to get in touch with you. They will validate what I'm talking about. Your higher self will validate what I'm talking about. Now, part of our conditioning is you don't play with anything that's unseen, right? So there's a little bit of fear in that. So just start with your higher self, because that's a part of you. So you can feel safe in that, right? So you have the law of free will, it works for you. Claim, I'm working with high vibrations. I expect miracles. I'm in alignment with abundance. Make it yours. Talk to your higher self. I want a message. If this is accurate and this is something I can trust, I can believe, you're actually here, this is the beginning of a new journey, a new belief structure, then send me a sign. A lot of times you can ask for number synchronicities. I want to see 777. I want to see 444. I want to see 333. Right? You can ask for smells. You can ask to see a picture of some sort. I want to see a red bird. I want to see a feather. I want to see a yellow butterfly. I want to see a fox. I want to see a deer. These are all the beautiful ways that the universe can communicate with you when you start beginning to open up to it. So I hope that this helped. My intention is to kind of just put some thought into your mind and really introduce this new beginning of this podcast. I've done a couple episodes previously, but we're revamping it a little bit. I had two podcasts, the Process Podcast and A Phone Call with Freedom. And what we've recently done is merge both of these podcasts into one. So now we're taking all the themes and topics from the Process Podcast and bringing them over to A Phone Call with Freedom. So A Phone Call with Freedom just got a little bit bigger, and I'm excited about that. So this is the beginning of it. So thank you guys so much for being here. You have no idea how excited I am. So I will be back every Wednesday to do another episode of A Phone Call with Freedom, where we just talk about what's going on and I share all my ideas and my teachings. I also have a book coming out called Unlocked that is in the editing stages right this second. But oh man, I am excited. It's everything that I've learned out of my head into a book. And this podcast is kind of running alongside that. It's just everything that I'm learning and what's going on, which is just wild. But I am seeing results, and therefore I feel that it's your responsibility when you're figuring things out to share that in a fashion that is supportive of other people. So like I said, I really appreciate you guys being here. Make sure that you pop back on Monday for a read with SJ, and on Wednesday, make sure that you pick up that phone and look me up and hop back on for another phone call with Freedom.